We're cutting across to live visuals coming in from the National War Memorial on the occasion of Vijay Diwas. Tributes pouring in for our martyrs, remembering the victory against Pakistan in the 1971 war. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting the National War Memorial shortly to commemorate Vijay Diwas and to salute our fallen braves. Prime Minister Modi is going to be received by Defence Minister Rajnath Singh at the venue. Also, the Chief of Defence Staff and the three service chiefs, they'll all be present there. They lay a wreath, pay homage to the fallen soldiers. Prime Minister Modi will also light the Swarnim Vijay Mashaal from the eternal flame of the memorial. 4 torches will be lit and carried to the cities and villages of the 1971 war heroes who had received the gallantry awards. That is Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. He's just arrived at the National War Memorial there. He is going to be officially receiving Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Various commemorative events will be conducted pan-India, wherein war veterans and Veer Naris will be felicitated. Home Minister Amit Shah, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi, several other leaders have also taken to Twitter to pay their tributes to our martyrs. The Prime Minister will be there shortly, laying a wreath, paying homage and also lighting the eternal flame at the National War Memorial. This day, Vijay Diwas, is commemorated every 16th December to observe our victory over Pakistan in the 1971 war. It also, of course, resulted in the surrender of the Pakistan army and also for Bangladesh's separation also after this war. It's been 49 years since the 1971 war. Memory is still very, very fresh of that particular battle. Many of our soldiers, so many of them fought so bravely to ensure this victory. And on this day, we remember their supreme sacrifice. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh there. He's waiting for the Prime Minister. Once the Prime Minister is there, he, along with Defence Minister, the Chief of Defence Staff and the 3 service chiefs, will lay a wreath and pay homage to our soldiers who fought so valiantly in the 1971 war. Abhishek Bhalla, Defence Editor, is joining us with more details on this. Abhishek, good morning. Vijay Diwas, the day every year that we remember our fallen heroes, how valiantly really our soldiers fought in the 1971 India-Pakistan war.
That's right, Akshita, and this time it's special because it marks the entry into the 50th year of the 1971 war, and that's why the Prime Minister, along with the 3 service chiefs and the Raksha Mantri, is not just paying his tribute, laying wreaths, but there is also a program which is being planned for the course of the next year, where people who had sacrificed their lives, war heroes of 1971 war, particularly families of winners of the Mahavir Chakra and the Paramveer Chakra, will be contacted with. And it's an idea to ensure that there is more awareness about the 1971 war. It's almost 50 years, so it's a half a century. And for the next generation to know that this was perhaps the biggest surrender after the Second World War is something that India needs to celebrate year after year, and that's exactly what's being planned for the 50th Golden Jubilee of the 1971 war.
Okay, and on our screens, we're beaming the live visuals that are coming in really from the National War Memorial. You've got Defence Minister Rajnath Singh there, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat also seen there in those visuals coming in from the National War Memorial. The 3 service chiefs also there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expected to reach any moment now, and then you will see the Prime Minister laying a wreath at the National War Memorial and also lighting the eternal flame. Abhishek, if you could really get us the details of the significance also of this kind of a tribute from the Prime Minister.
ये लोगों भारत की तीनों सेनाओं, भारतीय थल सेना,
well, immense significance. Fought many a battle with Pakistan and of course with China in '62. There have been 3 battles with Pakistan, 1965, 1971, and of course limited conflict in 1999 in Kargil. But as far as the '71 war is concerned, it was a big strategic victory for India. It wasn't just a victory for the military, because it changed the course of military strategy in this region, because a new nation was born. Remember, until then Bangladesh was part of Pakistan. It was East Pakistan, And after that liberation of Bangladesh in 1971, the entire dynamics of this region have changed. Imagine if India had borders with Pakistan on the west as well as on the east. So that completely changed the picture. And in fact, over the course of years, India has had extremely cordial relations with Bangladesh, military cooperation with Bangladesh. And, this is the big significance of the 1971 victory. India ensured that Bangladesh got liberated. And, of course, the strategic vision was such that for generations to come, for years to come, India is reaping benefits of it. And that's why it's important to celebrate this. And when it's the 50th year, as I said, we're getting into the 50th year from here onwards. Next year, it will be 50 years. So a lot of planning is already started. And this is just marking the beginning of the Golden Jubilee celebrations that are being kicked off from today, which is the anniversary of the 1971 war, when 90,000 Pakistani soldiers surrendered, the biggest surrender after Second World War. And this is something that India reminds its citizens of year after year. But now that it's entering the 50th year, it's even more important.
Abhishek, as we await the arrival of the Prime Minister there at the National War Memorial, I just also want to revisit some of the moments that really stick to you when you talk about the 1971 war. One of them is, of course, Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw's clear message to the Pakistani general when, he said so famously, you surrender or we wipe you out. And that was really how strong India was in a position in that war.
This was one of the vital battles fought as a part of Indo-Pakistan War
Well,
in 1971.
there are several anecdotes of the 1971
hard-fought battle that secured this
that features when General Niazi is signing.
The name Battle of Basanta actually
General Arora, who was the army commander of the Eastern Command then, and that picture is everywhere it's seen in the military establishment, the establishment, and it very clearly shows even till now what that surrender meant, and it's etched in public memory as well. Every time we talk about the 1971 war, that picture is the first picture that comes to mind. Of course, General Sam Manekshaw, then General Sam Manekshaw, who later went on to become the Field Marshal of India, played a very crucial role. Not to forget the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi as well. So 1971 war obviously has a lot of strategic decision-making that is important, and also, several battles, several conflicts, be it on land by the army, be it operations by the Indian Air Force, and of course, not to forget the contribution of the Indian Navy as well. So it was the first, perhaps, military action of India where all the three forces worked in complete synergy and tasted complete success. One can clearly say that it was a one-sided battle in favor of India, and that's why Pakistan had to surrender the way it did. Having said that, 65 battle was different. There was a stalemate in various battles that were fought. Kargil, of course, was very different. It was limited to one particular area. But 1971 war was a full-fledged war where the Indian Air Force, the Indian Navy, and the Indian Army participated and ensured that the victory, in all its sense, belonged to India.
Abhishek, when you talk about India-Pakistan conflicts, what first comes to everyone's minds is Kargil. But in fact, it was the 1971 war where India had perhaps a more decisive victory even. And as you mentioned, this was a full-fledged war that India won, with such managed such a decisive victory as well. So much so that Pakistan had to surrender and lost completely, leading to the liberation of Bangladesh as well.
Well, Akshita, the impact of the 1971 war is such that we see those the impact of it in the way Pakistan reacts today as well, because cross-border terrorism, infiltration in Jammu and Kashmir is something that Pakistan believes is a way to ensure that that a proxy war can continue, because Pakistan knows since 1971 war that a full-fledged conventional war is not possible for its military to perhaps fight today, and that's the reason why 1999 also happened. Kargil was a clear repercussion of this mindset of Pakistan of continuing a proxy war. And remember in Kargil as well, why it was limited to a particular area, because Pakistan realized that a full-scale conventional war is something that they cannot afford. And initially in Kargil in 1999, Pakistan continued to say that it's not the Pakistani military, it's not the Pakistani army that has planned this action, but in fact they are mujahideens. These are infiltrators who want to enter Jammu and Kashmir. But later it was very clear that it was the Pakistani military that was, part of this action. And this mindset of a proxy war is the reason why Pakistan continues this kind of action at the borders, and it's a clear repercussion of the 1971 war. Almost 50 years, Pakistan knows that they cannot fight a conventional scale war, and that's the reason why we have this proxy war, cross-border terrorism, infiltration continuing from Pakistan.
And I want to stress on that point further, Abhishek, as you pointed out, the lessons from 1971, something that Pakistan will always remember. They may, refer to a lot of warmongering time and again, but they know that when it comes to being on ground, if it comes to a war, they will suffer huge casualties and huge losses at the hands of our forces.
Well, that's right. And, this is something that Pakistani generals have said on record. And referring to 1999 Kargil, once again, I'm making a reference to that because that was the most recent so-called big skirmish with Pakistan. And later, General Pervez Musharraf had said that, Kargil was planned because they still have the scar of 1971. And that's something that the Pakistani army wants to avenge. And that's the reason why Kargil was planned. Post-Kargil, of course, it's been, again, 21 years since Kargil.
Right. Abhishek, my apologies for interrupting. Just want to tell our viewers right now that these are the live visuals coming in from the National War Memorial. You see that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just arrived. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh is there to greet the Prime Minister, to welcome him, and then they'll be making their way to pay their tribute, laying a wreath, and the Prime Minister will also be lighting an eternal flame in remembrance and to honour all of our fallen soldiers in the 1971 India-Pakistan war. The Prime Minister present there, greeted by Rajnath Singh, also the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat is there. The three service chiefs are presently there. They'll be making their way now inside the National War Memorial to pay a tribute to all of the brave soldiers, the martyrs of the 1971 war.
तीनों सेनाओं के अध्यक्ष
So the three service chiefs are also there, along with the Prime Minister, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat also there. This is usually something we see every single year. This time around, the fact that the Prime Minister is there, the National War Memorial will also kick off a number of events to commemorate this day, to commemorate this event as we near the 50th anniversary of Vijay Diwas of the 1971 India-Pakistan war.
Vayu Sena Medal, Aide-de-Camp, Chief of Air Staff, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ में
the Prime Minister lighting the eternal flame of the memorial. There will interestingly also be 4 torches that will be lit, carried to cities and villages of the war heroes, of the 1971 war heroes who had received gallantry awards for their bravery, who had received the Paramveer Chakra and Mahavir Chakra. So this is a unique tribute for all of our fallen heroes. There will also be various other events, commemorative events conducted across the country where our war veterans who were part of the 1971 war will be felicitated. A number of tributes that have also poured in on social media from political leaders, from war veterans, all of them hailing the bravery of our soldiers that ensured such a massive victory for our forces, for our soldiers in 1971, and that led to Pakistan signing the instrument of surrender on this day, on 16th December 1971. The Prime Minister there making his way forward to lay a wreath and salute all
and
of our fallen
self-confidence
soldiers.
born to demonstrate ability.
Soon after laying the wreath, you will have a moment of silence where the Prime Minister, along with all the other
Honourable
dignitaries who are
Prime Minister
present there, will pay their
pays his
tribute, will pay their respects to the martyrs of the 1971 war. After this, he will be lighting the eternal flame as well.
It is a matter of fact that the soldier is baptized by fire in battlefield. It is in the face of enemy that his character is put to test. What a beautiful day it is. The Indian
A wreath paying, offering his salute, his respects to all of the fallen soldiers of the 1971 India-Pakistan war. While we did emerge victor, we lost a lot of our braves as well in this full-fledged war that led to the liberation of Bangladesh and that led to Pakistan signing the instrument of surrender. So many stories, memories of our braves and the soldiers who ensured India's victory in this war back in 1971. It's been 49 years since the war. Next year will be 50th anniversary, and from today there will be events to commemorate our fallen soldiers and all of the war heroes, stories of gallantry that we hear really from the 1971 India-Pakistan war. And as we beam to you these live visuals from the National War Memorial, this really is a message to Pakistan. Since 1971, it's been 49 years, but no doubt the memory is still fresh in Pakistan's mind of the kind of drubbing that they received because of the coordinated effort of our forces that forced Pakistan to sign the instrument of surrender on this very date 49 years back. And to this date, when Pakistan tries to provoke, attempts to warmonger, there's no doubt that they keep in mind the kind of defeat that they faced at the hands of the Indian Army, of our forces back in 1971, followed by also the Kargil defeat. The Prime Minister will be lighting the eternal flame shortly, and these particular flames will be taken to different cities and villages. The torches that you see being held there by the veterans will be lit by the Prime Minister, and it will be taken to different cities and villages of the war heroes who received gallantry medals of the Paramveer Chakra and the Mahavir Chakra. So the Prime Minister there lighting the eternal flame of the memorial. Several torches that are being held by the veterans.
War veterans, युद्ध के वयोवृद्ध विजेता इस मशाल को थामे हुए और प्रधानमंत्री.
So you see there all the torches being lit there by the Prime Minister. Abhishek Bhalla, defense editor, is with us. Abhishek, just explain the significance of this particular time of the Prime Minister lighting these torches, which will be taken across the country.
Brigadier.
That's right. These torches will be taken to various places across the country, to small villages, towns, especially to homes of those war heroes who were awarded the Mahavir Chakra and the Paramveer Chakra in the 1971 war. And it's an attempt, it's an effort to make sure that the legacy of these brave men lives on for many, many more years. It's close to 50 years. Of course, this generation knows about the 1971 war, but this attempt is to ensure that the next generation also knows about the heroism of these brave men, and their legacy can continue for another 50 years and perhaps even beyond that. So that's the reason why, these kind of events have been planned as we kickstart the 50th year of the 1971 war. And 16th December was when Pakistan surrendered, and the liberation of Bangladesh finally became a reality after a war of 2 weeks between India and Pakistan back then. Something that really changed the course of strategic as well as military vision for India in the region. And that's something that India is celebrating once again. But since it marks the entry into the 50th year, it's obviously a very, very special moment, not just for the Indian military, but also for the entire country.
And we're going to be seeing several commemorative events across the country to hail not just our fallen soldiers, but also the war veterans who were part of the 1971 war, who ensured this massive victory against Pakistan and ensured the liberation of Bangladesh. We're getting to you live visuals from the National War Memorial. The Prime Minister's just paid his tribute to the fallen soldiers of 1971, laying a wreath and also lighting with the eternal flame 4 torches that will be sent across the country as well. This is a very significant movement, a symbolic move there, even as we every single day this year pay tribute to these heroes. We're entering the 50th anniversary of Vijay Diwas of the 1971 India-Pakistan war. And while memories are still fresh and stories that you hear really of the valor, of the gallantry of our forces that led to this particular victory, perhaps the memories, Abhishek, are freshest in the minds of Pakistanis.
That's right, Akshita. The scar of the 1971 war on the Pakistani army and the entire military establishment there is visible day after day in what's been happening on the line of control for many years now. In fact, Kargil happened 21 years back in 1999. And it was planned. It was a planned military operation, which initially Pakistan was denying. But later, there was no shying away from the fact, even by Pakistani generals, that it was an action planned to avenge the 1971 war. And the kind of proxy war that we see from Pakistan is a clear impact of this scar of the 1971 war. Pakistan perhaps somewhere has come to realize over the last many decades that a conventional full-scale war is something that it cannot afford. And that's the reason why there is infiltration in Jammu and Kashmir, there is cross-border terrorism, there are ceasefire violations, and this has been continuing for many, many years. And one can easily say, if one is to analyze this, and many military experts have also said this, that it's because Pakistan's inability to be engaged in a full-scale war like the 1971 war, where it was the Indian Army, Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy that was working in complete synergy, ensuring that Pakistan faced a very heavy defeat and paid a price. And the cost of that war on Pakistan has been massive. And that's the reason why they have resorted to a proxy war for many decades now.
On the ground, if you talk about the 1971 war, Abhishek, Pakistan really did suffer the most. They lost almost 8,000 of their soldiers in this full-fledged war, really. And that was something you were highlighting, how, when we talk a lot about the Kargil war, the 1971 war, however, was a full-fledged one in which our forces worked together. All three, the Indian Army, the Navy and the Air Force worked together to ensure this kind of a victory.
Well, Akshita, I know more than the defeat that the Pakistan faced in terms of their military losses, what has been the biggest scar for them is that surrender. I mean, no military wants to surrender, but it seems that Pakistan obviously wasn't left with any other option. And, more than 90,000 soldiers surrendering in East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, the biggest surrender since Second World War. That's something that they perhaps have not come to terms with. And it's a legacy. It's a legacy no military would want to continue with. But it's a fact that they have to live with. And it's been passed on through generations of officers, soldiers, to the next generation that joins the army. Obviously, none of the officers, generals,